guys, what's going on? Back with another video. Um, Today I'm going to be doing my most disappointing Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch figures in my collection. Um, the Comic Figure Blog did a similar video, I think his least favorite, so this is kind of like the same video. Go check out his video if you haven't already. I'm going to kind of do my version of it with more aligned with disappointing, and I'll explain kind of why. I just picked 5 figures out of my collection of Black Series 6-inch figures, which I found were the most disappointing for me personally. Not saying that they're bad figures by any means. None of the figures I'm going to show are terrible, but they do have their flaws, and I think the most flawed in my collection. So first up is the C-3PO. It was recently released as a Walgreens exclusive, and up here in Canada you can get it at EV Games. And it's not a bad figure at all. I think sculpt-wise it looks great, and even paint app-wise, while they didn't give it the back chrome finish, the gold paint they use looks pretty good, and everything like that looks pretty good. My problem with it is in the articulation. The arm articulation just so weird. Like, he has no elbows. He just has a hinge at the shoulder and a hinge at the wrist. I would have liked to see a swivel at the bicep, because the articulation with no swivel at the bicep is so awkward to work with. I just don't really like it, and it just really bugs me. But aside from that, it's a decent figure. Next is Emperor Palpatine, and I actually really like this figure. I'm opposed to the popular opinion that people don't like this figure. I'm one of the people who does really enjoy this figure. But I can't ignore the fact that it is quite a disappointing figure. It could have been so much more. He does have great articulation. He does have a decent look to him, but there are some problems. His lower robes underneath should have been soft goods, because now with them plastic he can't sit down. B, the shape of his hood is not correct. It's completely inaccurate, the shape of the hood, which bothers me quite a bit. More than anything else, I would have liked an accurate looking hood. It's not a terrible hood. It sits on his head relatively well, but the shape is just so off. He shouldn't have such flaps going on down here. It just doesn't look right. And then lastly, his accessories are extremely limited. All he comes with is, I guess, his robe and then his cane, which are essential accessories. They basically just gave him his essentials. But he should have really came with some interchangeable Force Lightning hands, and if they wanted to go the extra mile, throw in his lightsaber too, because they gave him all this articulation and whatnot for really nothing, because they have all this articulation. I think he even has double hinges at the elbows, if I remember correctly, and there's just nothing you really do with them except just kind of stand there pointing or whatever. It's really a shame. They could have done so much more with this. So the First Order Flame Trooper, again, not a bad figure, because I like collecting the First Order Troopers. It is a cool figure, but there are some problems with it. You know, proportions are a little weird. His arms seem a little too short and whatnot. His articulation is not fantastic. Again, the elbows could bend a lot more. So because they don't bend a lot more, he can't hold the flamethrower right. And he did peg warm a crazy amount in some places, which just doesn't make any sense. But it is just not the best figure. I'd say easily the weakest First Order Trooper we got, and that's all really there is to say. Next is the Resistance Trooper, and really the biggest problem with this guy is just the character choice for a figure. Well, yes, it's cool to get a sort of trooper to go against the First Order Troopers. I mean, aside from the helmet, the design of the Resistance Trooper is just so bland. It's just, he's basically just wearing clothes with a harness and a helmet. It's just so many other figures in the Black Series 6-inch here we haven't got yet, but we have the Resistance Trooper. It's just a little pathetic. But aside from that, the execution of the figure is not bad at all. I mean, paint apps is probably some of the best paint apps I've ever seen on a Black Series figure put on this guy, which is pretty cool. The flip up little mouthpiece of the helmet's a nice little feature. Though another huge problem I have is articulation is not bad, but because of this plastic lower jacket, you can't really get his hips going out too far, so you can't get too many action poses. And because he only has single hinges at the elbows, and because the blaster's stock in the back is really big, he's impossible to get him in a really good aiming pose. So that also really sucks too. You can pretty much just have him standing there kind of looking all right, but just not really doing much, and it just really sucks. And lastly, I have Farm Boy Luke. I actually don't hate this figure at all. I think it's not a bad figure. I enjoy it. He has really good articulation, and the soft goods tunic doesn't bother me at all. I think it looks fine. But there is, again, a lot of lost potential. The joints, well, there's a lot of articulation. Some of it's kind of, cheap. The leg joints, if they're not in this open hip movement, like to move around and wobble a lot. Head sculpt's pretty bad, honestly. Or bad in the sense that the expression's just so bland. It's terrible. And the waxy look of the face, well, isn't the worst looking thing I've ever seen. You can still notice it, and it doesn't look very real, I guess. It just kind of sucks. And then my biggest issue is just the fact this is a figure and a character in this representation that could have gotten so many accessories, and they just didn't include them. I mean, I know they have budgets and whatnot, but and the accessories it does come with is good. The binoculars are good, and the lightsaber is good. It can be put on all of them, put on the belt and whatnot. But I mean, he could have came with his poncho. He could have came with his hat. He could have came with his rifle. I mean, he could have came with a lot more accessories. Maybe even the helmet and the training little remote. Just could have came with so much more and just didn't. And for a wave that only had 3 new figures, I mean, was the budget really that much of a factor into it? I don't know. But he's pretty disappointing. It's just, it could have been more. Like Palpatine, could have been more. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what your guys' least favorite Black Series 6 figures are in the comments down below if you want. Always appreciate the support, and may the Force be with you.